Quikflw's automation capability allows you to automate processes within Quikflw. This means that you can save staff time, ensure that the same process is followed each time, and embed knowledge of how you work in the system. For example, that a certain client is always invoiced in a certain way. So let's get started and set some up. We go to the cog and then automation settings. We have here the different automations in each module. The automations don't generally work across modules. A quotation might create a job, or a job might create an invoice, or a quotation create an invoice, but they won't manage it in one big swoop. What you need to do is set up an automation that creates a job from a quote, go into the jobs and set up the automation to do the next part of the process. So let's start with the quotation, new automation, and let's do one that's simply going to create a job. Trigger type status change. Now delay trigger, what this enables you to do is prevent the automation running immediately. This is useful if there might be a chance that the automation is going to be triggered incorrectly. For example, if we got this job, this create job, and the person who's changed the status of the quote didn't mean to do that, if they've got, let's say, 15 minutes before the automation runs, they've got two options. They can either simply change the status back, or they can go to the queue, which I'll show you later in the video, to stop that process. So if we put a delay trigger in here, and we'll say it's going to be 15 minutes, and we want it to be active, add the automation, and then we can start to see some more of the screen. We've got two things we can add here, are conditions, i.e. when it will run, what will trigger the firing of this, and then the actual action that we're going to do. And we can have multiple actions on one automation. So this one is a very simple one. We're going to say when the status is equal to approved, then that will fire this automation. And what we're going to do then is we're going to create a job, and we're going to put that into in process as its starting status. And these are all statuses that you pick in your system. There we go. So let's see that in action. So here is a quote. I'm going to move that to approved. Because we've put a delay on this, this won't run immediately. So let's go back to the automations and look at the queue. And we can see there it is waiting to run. Now I can force that to run, or I can simply delete it. And let's say I made a mistake, I can delete it. But if somebody had made that mistake and moved the status and realised straight away, they can move it back to the old status and it will not run. Okay, so we've now got a job. Let's do some more on this. Let's create an invoice and send it to the client, and perhaps send out an email as well to one of the members of staff. So new automation, and this is going to be so the trigger type is going to be, actually let's have this as status changed, and this is going to delay this again. And so let's add our first condition. We're going to say when a status is equal to client confirmed, so that's the first start of the stage for us. And also we're going to send an invoice if they are a client who gets an upfront invoice. So let's do that, where the client tag exists, and that value is this one here, which is invoice on 50%. So to recap, the conditions we've got are when the status of the job moves to client confirmed, and the client tag is invoice 50% on order. So we can also have a set of other conditions here using the or statement, or just have the one. And these are all and, so it's got to be this and that together. So let's create an action. In this case, we're going to create an invoice. I'm going to select a template. So the benefit of having an invoice template is it guarantees that you'll be using the right PDF template as well. And this is going to be part invoice, and it's going to be 50% upfront. There we go. But now I'm going to send out an email to the procurement team to let them know this order has been placed and they need to get on and order some parts. So I go to send emails. It's going to the assigned user, but also to the procurement team. Now you can add in various tags. I've added in job number. You can add in other ones with more information on the client name or the description of the job, and these are all available here, and they're the same as the PDF tags that are listed in the help section. And we also have the option of sending the PDF, including the PDF as well. So let's add action there, and there we go, and they're good to go. So all of these automations, as I mentioned before, are all based on the per module basis. So you create one in the quotations module to create a job when a quote status changes. Within the job, you might then create an invoice and a purchase order, and you might send out an email notification, and you can actually send an invoice directly to the client without any intervention. So that's how the automation works. If you want to have a play with this before you use it on your live system, then please let us know, and we're happy to set up a test account for you.